Bum 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 bum. Merry Christmas!
Okay, so this is my Arduino controlled Christmas tree. Let's see how I made this. Well, starting out with the basics here, I first actually started this project thinking I would use branches for the tree for a more rustic look. So I cut some up and organized them in a tree-like fashion. Then I found an old board, prepped it and painted it white. But after thinking about this a little bit more, I figured I wanted straighter wood for the LED to attach to. So I cut up some redwood that I had on hand instead. However, I did use my branches as a guide for how long to make them to fit on the board. Then I measured out on the back of the board where I wanted them and drew out what looked good, and then I also used a board to get them evenly spaced out. Next, I drilled holes from the back. I added screws and then secured the shelves from the back to create a nice little tree with shelves on it. Okay, so that was the wood part. Now, how about we get to the lights? I had picked up a roll of LED lights and I cut them up to fit on top of each shelf. You can cut these lights up every 3 lights where it says it's okay to cut, and then you need to solder the connections in place, so that's what I did. When you solder the connections to the light, you need to connect it to that little copper part of the lighting. So I prepared some wires, got my soldering iron out, and made a bunch of connections, one for each row of the Christmas tree. And after that, I glued and stapled the LEDs with a connection on top of each little shelf. So to make sure they all worked, I connected the wires each time to a battery pack with 8 AA batteries in series, creating 12 volts. Once I had all the lights on the tree, I drilled a hole next to each shelf and fed the cord through to hide them on the back. So now my tree was prepped with lights. But in order to make it a little bit more interesting, I figured this is an excellent opportunity to play with the Arduino. The Arduino is an open source computer platform which you can control different things with, such as when to turn lights on or off, by writing software on the computer and then sending it to the Arduino where your project is connected. For this project, I needed an extra breadboard because I'm making 5 circuits and I couldn't fit all of that on one breadboard. I needed 5 TIP31 transistors, 5 1K ohm resistors, hookup wires. I also wired together the 8 AA batteries in series to create 12 volts to power the lights, or you could use a 12 volt AC/DC power adapter. So I'm wiring 5 circuits because I have 5 strips of LEDs. I also created a star and a trunk on my tree. However, those stay on consistently, they don't blink, so they can be plugged into any of the 12 volt powered rows. I wrote software on the computer to tell the Arduino when to turn each light on and off. To create each circuit, one of the pins on the Arduino must be connected to the base of the transistor through a 1000 ohm resistor. Because I'm creating 5 circuits, I'm using pins 9 through 13 on the Arduino, so each of those pins will connect to a resistor. Off the transistor's emitter, you run a line to the negative of the LED, and then the collector is grounded. The side of the breadboard that has the LED connected to it must be powered separately, because the Arduino can only output 5 volts and these need 12 volts to work properly, which is why I placed 8 AA batteries in series. I also built a small shelf to keep all the hardware on the side. Now this is probably not going to be permanent, but if it was, it would be nice to make a little box to enclose the Arduino and all the wires in. So I really like the idea of a wall Christmas tree, especially for an apartment if you don't have a lot of space. And you can hang ornaments from the shelves too if you want. And while the Arduino powered LED lights are cool, you could certainly use regular Christmas lights. However, they wouldn't blink like this.
Bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-dum